You don't want to upset
kids.
that fraction of the audience.
I know,
so you got to keep it loose enough.
You got to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. The last thing you want is a YouTube thumbnail with woke question mark and the. So just avoid it.
Sure it's already
they're just
happening.
friends. They're just friends.
Should we just do that for this video? Ghostbusters, whoa!
People that don't click on the video are going to be very upset at us. Oh no, they've become grifters.
It's a big red circle around her face. Whoa.
So first up, this was something I want to talk about. So a lot of you folks may or may not have seen this, but there's an hour-long stream from Red Letter Media, which I had open in a tab, and then I'm like, oh, it's an hour. I forgot, so we're not going to watch that. But it's a stream where they talk about the death of movies, and it really is sort of a comprehensive conversation about media. Like, it's not just movies. I mean, yes, that is the focal point, but they talk about just modern media in general and why we're sort of struggling with some of the antiquated ways that media is still attempted to be put out there for people to consume. And a lot of it has to do with not only culture, but with just the world we live in today in terms of, capitalism and stuff like that. So it's a really good video, and I would highly recommend it. If you are looking for something to listen to in the background while you're doing something else, this is an easy listen. It's a 1-hour video. And I think it's a really solid take on all of this. However, so look, Daniel, this is what we're going to be talking about here. Is Red Letter Media a chud channel? Well, let me play this clip, and then you can determine what you think about this, because I have a lot to say about it. Here we go. This is a 25-second clip from this 1-hour stream.
Speaking of misconceptions, that's one thing in relation to Furiosa. I saw a little bit of. You don't see this as much anymore. It's starting to die down. But that idea of like, oh, this movie flopped because they gender swapped Max. It's like, well, it's a different character. Movies with female leads always flop, which isn't true. It's just like one of those like talking points.
It's clickbait. I've seen those cropping up now.
Yeah. Speaking of misconceptions,
so there we go. That's the clip, and it's 25 seconds of gold to me, because I am so happy. We've been doing this you've been doing it a lot longer than me, but I've been doing it for probably coming up, like this fall will be 2 years that I've been sort of navigating this
strong
space,
especially the last year. You've had a really solid, just like action-packed year of this stuff, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love all the good energy that I'm getting from, and even some of the negative energy. I'll take it. But we've been saying this stuff for a while, and we're sort of, we're fighting back against this algorithm that crushes the kind of content that we make, crushes the kind of positive content about media. The algorithm has literally kind of destroyed YouTube's entertainment section. I mean, in a lot of ways. And Red Letter Media is here saying, just flat out, it's clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a poignant way to like sum up what all of it is, because that's essentially, that's it, right? That's all of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nicholas, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but that's what I hear. I imagine I'll enjoy it. But the point is like, it doesn't even matter. The quality of a movie often doesn't matter, especially anymore. Maybe it did at one point to these guys. They would kind of lean more into quality here and there, but like now it's just literally whatever, the clickable shit is. And the clickable shit is going to be the most, misogynistic kind of sexist, whatever take. And to answer the question of like specifically about are these guys chuds? No. Red Letter Media are the originals. They are the guys who literally like they just were the big bang of fucking YouTube movie reviews. If anybody's ever seen, there was a series of like, each one, there was like 10 videos way back in the day, like 2009, 10, something like that. Where and it was all about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom Menace, and sorry, I don't know if I said fandom or phantom.
You did.
And it was like Mike, the dark-haired guy. He was him doing the voice of a character called Harry S. Plinkett.
Star Wars: The Phantom Menace was the most disappointing thing since my son.
So if you've ever seen that was them, and that they kind of like kicked off this whole thing of like realizing, oh wait, talking about movies on YouTube is fun. People fucking love that shit. and you can have fun with it. You can do silly voices and characters and stuff.
I mean, how much more could you possibly fuck up the entire backstory to Star Wars?
And that, like, from that you get, Channel Awesome basically came from all that, not literally, but like you was inspired by that kind of era of, like, you get the guy with glasses, Nostalgia Critic, and all the bullshit that came along with him. And then from there, that's where you started having like the third generation almost of movie critics on YouTube, were the, like the Nerdrotics and the Geeks and Gamers and stuff like that. Around that time was about whenever, or after a few years after that second generation, you get The Force Awakens. It started with Ghostbusters, then The Force Awakens, then Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's what it evolved or devolved into. And now here you've got the originals again. They've been doing it this whole time. I don't think they've ever hit the numbers that they hit with that original, Mr. Plinkett review, because it was just so novel at the time.
And while my son eventually hanged himself in the bathroom of the gas station, the unfortunate reality of the Star Wars prequels is that they'll be around forever.
That shit went viral as hell. But like, this whole time they've been doing Best of the Worst, which is one of my favorite shows on YouTube.
Right.
And then they do their half in the bag, just regular reviews of stuff. And sometimes I don't like how they talk about Star Trek. They're a little bit cynical about it.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, like they've done their share of racist media, and I mean,
have they?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know 100%. I can't speak to that. So this is not me advocating for Red Letter Media. I think that this particular video is a good listen.
Well, I mean, I would say that I've seen plenty of their content, and I don't think I've seen anything remotely like. Sure, you can definitely. I'm not going to argue that you can point out something that's a little bit problematic or something over the course of their career.
Yeah.
But
I would love to see what you consider to be outright racist media, because I would be very interested.
I don't think that's true. I just don't think that's accurate. Come to dawn. That's just the Phantom Menace was the most disappointing thing since my son.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's accurate at all. And to say that. And also to say that because somebody has had problematic takes in the past, that they can't criticize people now is also pretty silly and arbitrary. I've had some really problematic views in the past. I just didn't say them on the internet.
I thought you were going to bring up something that you did on YouTube.
No, I'm not going to talk about.
By the way, I did this like 3 years ago or something like that. I thought they were going. I would definitely say check this out though, because even if you do not like Red Letter Media, and again, I'm not advocating to go subscribe to their channel, I think the video is a very good conversation about like modern cinema criticism, because I was kind of scrolling through my list today of my subscriber list for the Chud channels that I follow. I have one separate thing just for that, because I don't want to mess with my my regular algorithm. So
you have to have it.
Yeah, it's like a curated Chud list. But I went through there, and man, it's just getting boring for them. I feel like it really is becoming a weird space. The solidarity that they had isn't quite as synced up as it was before. Like a lot of times all of them would be talking about the same subject and the videos would all come out around the same time. But now I'm noticing a bit of fragmentation in what they cover. I mean, there's the larger things that all of them will cover usually, but then the secondary things or the spin-off things from those are not quite as planned as they used to be.
Yeah, they're not on message anymore,
right?
Like except for the core kind of few guys. Outside of that, like there used to be a much larger kind of radius of content creators around them they would all be in lockstep more or less. And now, like you're saying, I think the thing that really is killing it is the Chud apocalypse, man. Like it's a real thing, and I think it's a confluence of factors that played into that or are playing into it. Particularly the strike last summer, but the lack of Marvel movies is also not so great.
Yeah, well, I think this year the lack of movies in general, because we're dealing with this is the ramifications of the strike.
True.
And let's see here.
I mean, shockingly racist is a pretty, okay, I'll check them out and I'll talk about it Friday after I've watched them. But shockingly racist. I don't know. I feel like I would have.
It might be because of the idea of their story being basically a palette swap of indigenous communities, quite possibly. Hey, thanks for signing up. Darth,
like saying that Avatar is basically the same movie as like Fern Gully. Is that somehow racist or?
I don't know. I do know that there was a lot of conversations about the idea of making up space Native Americans or space indigenous people, and how it was too similar to like a real communities or whatever. Which, to be honest, I don't really know how I would tackle that sort of conversation, because when I saw the movie, I thought the movie was a good movie. I preferred the first one. I thought the second one was fine, but I totally understand when people have criticisms about like exploitation of their culture, but I wouldn't be the person to ask that question to, because I can't give an answer on that. So I'll watch it. I'll give it a watch and see what I think of it. You know, maybe it is as bad as they say. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they were banking on the Marvels, and it didn't really do much for them. You know, when you have to compare their successes to their big successes, right? And that includes, you know, the kind of handful of ones where they fucking knocked it out of the park with the Grift, with the Last Jedi, friggin' Ghostbusters 2016. Although I don't think it was quite as intentional then yet. It wasn't as much of a grift as it was just reactionaries making content.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Last Jedi, and then you know, Captain Marvel, which is a bizarre one, because as much as they made a lot of headway on that one, they got a lot of subscribers. There was whole channels born in that period because of Captain Marvel that still went on to make over $1 billion. So no, you're still on the right channel. This is Eric Debunks. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, as well as to Actual Fandom and Organized Chaos and Turf Nation.